Hi, and welcome to Fate 40 and Beyond. I am Jen, the host. This is a podcast for women in midlife where we talk about all things spiritual, all things midlife related, and just help others remember that you're not alone. Aside from the podcast, I am the owner of Soulful Existence, where I work with women one-on-one through tarot card readings, past life regression, and mediumship sessions to help discover themselves and get back into the most aligned version of themselves. I'm also the creator of the app, The Cosmic Brief, and I will put information for that down below. That is meant as a tool for astrology and using it in daily life. Today we have a guest, and I'm excited because this one we've been going back and forth for a couple of months now, and we finally are here recording. Today I have Kusha. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yes, first of all, thank you so much, Jen, for having me. And as rightly said, this has been quite some time that we've been having this back and forth, only because of the time difference and, the mess up that happened. So, yeah, my name is Kusha Kalra. I am the founder of the Bespoke Designs. And I also have my own podcast by the name of Bite Size Brands. So I'm a podcast host. I am a branding expert and a confidence coach, and I love to work with my clients to help them elevate their brand to the next level so that they can continue to attract the dream clients and the vision that they have for their business. I'm based out of India and I am a single mom. I have a son who is 16 now, and I live here with my parents. So, in a nutshell, that's a little bit about me.
Wow. Okay, so did you live in the United States at some point and move back?
No, never. So I
No.
am
Okay.
based here, but just because I've been into my business since 2018, I left my corporate job. Like I worked for 12, 13 years in corporate. Then I left my job because I wanted to be home with my son. And I did my life coach certification back then. Then I tried coaching and then I moved into branding. And all this while I've had clients, across the globe. So primarily from the US and the UK. So
Wow.
that is exactly how I am pretty much well connected with the outside world.
The outside world. It's it's been really neat. We just had the World Cup here, and
Mhm.
it's been really interesting to see the foreigners who have come to visit and their reaction to the United States. And I think a lot of times there's so much disconnect between
Yeah.
the different countries because we're only told what our media tells us,
Yes,
unless we go
exactly.
visit. And so I think
Yes.
it's important for a connection outside of our own,
Yeah.
culture and meeting other people. So I really love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. I have
Great.
traveled because of my job to the UK. I've been there twice to
Yeah.
Liverpool and Sheffield. And then a couple of years back, I had one of my clients who also became a really good friend. So I visited her place as well in London. So I've been
Oh,
there,
nice.
but not to the US because somehow I think we Indians also struggle getting our visas approved, for places like
No,
this. So
it's
that's a whole
crazy.
different story.
Right. Yeah, I've gone to Norway and Iceland. I want to travel more and just kind of get out there. It's just, life gets so busy. It's hard
Mm.
to carve out that time. So I get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get started with the reading because I have a feeling that you have a lot of insight to offer and I can't wait to hear more
Wow.
about your story.
I'm excited.
Let's see. All right. The very first card is the Death card, which is all about cycles ending and beginning. So, one door closes, another one opens, which I feel like that's when I talk to people who are in midlife, like that's tendency of what we're experiencing, whatever that might be, and especially
Mhm.
if you said you have a teenage son, we get to that age where the kids start to get independent and we have to start learning who we are besides mom.
Yeah, totally.
Let's see, a Page of Wands, the King of Cups, 10 of Wands, and the Six of Cups. Right off the bat, though, there feels like a lot of busyness for you, a lot of
Mhm.
keeping yourself occupied with physical things, but then underneath, it's almost like the emotional, the emotional current is still there and just as loud. Do you do a lot of, how do I say this? Like letting, letting your emotions kind of lead you in where you should be going in life. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Is that what you
Yes.
do? Because there's
I
some
am a
people that
very sensitive person. I'm a very emotionally regulated person, and at times emotionally dysregulated person at
yeah.
times. And I do feel that there are times when my emotions take over my decisions. And yeah, so
It feels a lot like letting your emotions help guide you, though, not
yes,
necessarily take over, but
yes.
listening to how you feel, like your gut reaction to something.
Yes,
And
yeah. So
that way.
I'm a very intuitive person. And I also use that with my work, but I also figured this out through my own journey that, my intuition and my gut, like if I listen to that, it's really powerful and it always helps me. It protects me, it helps me, and it makes me take wiser decisions also in life, really.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's exactly what it feels like. There's also a sense of, I would say, feeling like accomplishment for what you've been able to do in life, especially as a single mom. I think, there's a big, I think, misunderstanding that single moms are very defeated, but then to come back from whatever led to that and creating a business to take care of yourself and your son. And, I'm sure being able to help with parents who are getting older and taking care of them too. And, there's a lot of accomplishment there too. And that I can feel like this, it almost feels like reflection that you experience, maybe, of looking back at how far you've come from where you were, early in
Mhm.
life to now. And it feels like prideful, like you're happy, like you've done a good job. I love that. How much has your life changed since you started doing your own business?
A lot, actually, because I was in one of the best dream job, like people would want a dream job. So that's what I was in. And leaving that was a huge, step of, it was like the biggest decision of my life. And
Yeah.
only because, it was at that time my son was 5 years old and he had started school. And it
Yeah.
was like a light bulb moment that, I'm a single mom. There's nobody going to be there when he comes back from school to, to listen to how was his day and what is like friends like and what happened at school. And as he grows, there's going to be about, peer pressure and so many things, big and small. And I just decided, one day that I want to leave this job and be home. And I thought I have enough skills to make something out of myself, even if I leave my job. So I was a trainer and I continued being a freelance trainer after, I moved out of my 9 to 5. And slowly, gradually, I decided, that it was like, like listen to your intuition, listen to your instincts. So I was working with one of my ex bosses in the training consultancy, that he had. So I was still as a partner, but I felt it was more like like a boss and a subordinate kind of
Yeah.
a relation. So as much as I thought we are together, in as business partners, but it didn't really work out like that. And I thought this was a sign, from the universe that, move out, do something on your own, stop depending on others
Yeah.
kind of a thing. And I gradually moved out. And because I had done my life coaching certification at that point, so I said, okay, let's use that. Let's start coaching. And in India, people, at that time, this is way back in 2013, like almost
Yeah.
13 years back, people did not understand what coaching was. So,
Right.
and I was like, they
Yeah.
don't value what I have to offer. So I said, okay, let's go out, let's go where people will value it. So I started with Facebook. I, kind of, uh, I, I like kind of joined a business coach to help me,
Yeah.
with, understanding how I could set up my coaching business. And it didn't really work out well, Jen. It was a struggle because being a trainer, it was okay to, stand in front of a large audience and present and talk about any workshop and any training and engage them. But here I was, sitting in my room, looking at the dot of the camera, and I was told to record. And I couldn't do it. I hated it. So I kind of was on the verge of giving up in terms of my business. By 2017, I was almost, in two minds that did I do the right thing by leaving my job? And my parents were never supportive of this decision. So they were like, there is this huge financial stability which you have currently, and you're ready to let go of all of that. And I said no, but then I need to take care of this boy who I have brought in this world. So I feel it's my responsibility, to make him a nice person and, to see him grow with the kind of values that I would want him to have. And
Sure.
so my business was struggling, but my personal life, motherhood, and my relation with my child was flourishing. It was one of the best times of my life, personally. And yeah, it was a struggle. And then by end of 2017, I took a step back. I took a break from my business and I said, wait a minute, what else can I do? Do I have any other skills apart from coaching? So I knew that I was creative. And so I started shifting towards branding. I learned
Mm,
about it. I'm more like a self-learned, self-taught branding
yeah.
expert. And then I had a coaching community where, because I started myself in that same community. So I kind of used their help. I started working for them for free because I wanted to see if they even really like my work. So from
Right.
free work to $50, then to $500. And, now there's no looking back. So I built my entire business on, branding and, then now it's like a done for you service, which I provide. And I brought back my coaching also in it. So now I even do mentorship. I do the consulting. I do brand strategy. I do the brand design. I do all of that for them because I know where women struggle. I know they struggle with sharing their story, their journey, showing up on camera. And if I feel that if I was able to, overcome all these struggles, I think I know, what is it that, makes these women feel stuck. So it
Yeah.
was a struggle. It was a roller coaster ride. It still is, I feel, but I think that's the best part of it that get to stay home. I get to work my own hours and I get to meet amazing people across the globe, and learn about their vision and help them in their entire journey. So I've had such successful clients, that they've used branding, they've used their business and, they've become 6-figure, 7-figure businesses. They have amazing awards for their products. And I feel so proud and honored that, I'm like a little part of their journey, if not the
Oh,
whole
yeah.
one. So
That's awesome. I love, like, it just feels like the story of believing in yourself and knowing that you had something to offer and then being able to reassess. I think so often those of us who want to be self-employed are self-employed, like we pigeonhole ourselves into,
yeah.
no, this is the only way it should look. And there's this idea out there that success looks a certain way. And if we don't achieve that, then we've failed somehow. But to take a step back and look at like, okay, what's not working, what might work, trying a different approach. I think I think that alone takes a lot of courage because a lot of people would just give up. They would just, okay, well,
Mhm.
I didn't do it. I need to go back to work. So that's a really like empowering story. I love that.
Thank
That's
you.
that's amazing. The one of the other cards I'm getting is that there's like it almost feels like a playful approach to life. Like trying things out just for the fun of it, just to see if it works, like I said, there's this mindset of like things only can be done a certain way, but it feels like you test the waters in a bunch of different areas to experiment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
find yourself doing that?
I'm an adventurous person at heart. I love to take risks. I love to when I say take risk, I mean not extreme risks, but I'm not
Sure.
I'm not like, I'm, I don't feel scared of trying new things, that ways. So I'm an initiator. I like to try, I don't feel that, uh, that, oh my God, how am I going to do it? Or, I'm too scared to even, take that leap of faith. No, I have that faith that either I will succeed or I will learn something. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are the two options which I see. I'm super optimistic that way. And sometimes I feel that sometimes that risk can be, lead to not always the good kind of risk, because I've even been through scams online, financial scams, which
Yeah.
led to setback in my business, which made me take a gap of almost more than a year. And I
Yeah.
stopped working on my business. And in my business, I stopped coming back on socials. I kind of, like I said, I had my trust broken, like, big time, because I went through a financial scam online, and I was like, oh my God, I felt ashamed. I felt guilty.
Sure.
There were all those kind of emotions which, stayed for more than a year. And then I kind of shifted the perspective, and I was like, okay, wait a minute. I've been online for so many years, and this is how I've made a living. And just this one setback should not like take it all away from me, like,
Yes.
so,
Yeah. I
so
find
I had
myself
to,
kind of going through
yeah.
something like that right now. I've done a lot of content creation over the last 5, 6 years, and I really enjoyed it. Like, that's always been a really nice creative outlet for me. And then about 6, yeah, almost about 6 months ago now, it it got really heavy, and it it made it less fun,
Hmm.
like it kind of shifted a lot of things for me. And I like what you said about you can't let this one situation derail all of the progress. But I've completely stepped back from posting on Facebook, posting on TikTok, posting, like, all of that just feels less fun right now. So I'm continuing to take a break and letting myself just see where it goes. Maybe I'll
Hmm.
post again, maybe I won't, but I like that perspective of is it this one situation that I'm letting affect me, or is it actually something that's shifted for me? Like, it
Hmm.
gives me something to think about. I like that. Let's see. I pulled a few more cards. I got the 3 of Swords, the Emperor, which I really love, the 10 of Swords, and the 2 of Pentacles. So this one, where the last set of cards was talking about like doing things and being emotional about it, this one's like more so about the the mental aspect of it, like the thought process behind stuff, and allowing yourself to, I don't know, that Emperor is the Emperor card for me. He's coming up. It's like a very disciplined, rigid approach to things sometimes. That's
Hmm.
how it's coming up right now. And I think, where we're talking about your emotional approach to stuff and letting your intuition lead, how do you balance that with the behind the scenes, like, business part of it that does have to be a little bit more documented and regimented? Is that tough for you? Like, do you struggle in that part
A
versus the
lot.
emotional part?
A lot. I cannot work if I'm in not the right energy.
Mm,
That's who I am. So I have
yeah,
to be having fun. Otherwise I can't work. So I have to be in a good, joyous, fun energy or vibe,
yeah,
and if there's something which triggers, if something goes, the other side of things and not the way I would have preferred, or something which I can't control also.
yeah,
So this is before. Okay, now that's not how who I am now, but earlier that's what used to happen. If I would get literally triggered by even a small thing, my entire day was ruined. I
right.
couldn't focus on my work, my business would take a toll, and that led to lack of consistency. I was not consistent. I was not disciplined. I didn't have like a structure because, and I didn't even realize it for the longest time. When you're working in a job, you have a 9 to 5. There is a
Right.
time for everything. Now, when you're on your own, you have to set those timelines. And I didn't do them, I was just
Right.
having fun as if, yeah, it's fun and I'm enjoying. And then I realized, girl, this is not a hobby. This is real business. It needs
Yeah.
commitment. It needs that kind of focus. It needs that kind of investment of time and effort, both apart from the money, right? So it needs, if
Right.
I'm putting money, I'm hiring people, but if I'm not doing anything with what I'm learning, and if I'm not doing it consistently to get the end result, I will struggle. So I realized all of this while I took that year's gap. And when I came back after the scam, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. I feel as if I'm almost starting from the scratch,
Yeah.
because and that's when I realized that, okay, girl, you took that break, but I wish you were consistent so you wouldn't have such a big gap. It's such a huge gap that it took time to, recover and come back at a stage where, now people will know me, they'll remember me, and they remember, yeah, she's the same one, going back to old clients, making new
Right.
connections. I feel I started back now with a lot more structure and focus and a lot
Yeah.
more consistency, but not like a way where, oh my God, I have to post every single day. That reel has to go up. No, not in that sense. But
Right.
yes, just showing up, for my business, showing up and letting people know, that my shop is open, and I am available in case they need someone. They know they can reach out to me, so in that sort.
I love that because there's so many times where I'm like, oh, I haven't had any new clients reach out lately. Well, no, because I haven't been posting about it. Like it's like I have to do the action. One of my favorite things, and I've talked about this before on my podcast, is how people have such a misconception about manifestation. They think
Mm,
all you have to do is think the right thoughts, and all of a sudden, all of these clients are
will
going to start
come.
calling you. And, but there's aligned action that goes with that.
Yes.
And you have to
Yes.
do your part. You have to meet the universe somewhere in the middle.
Absolutely.
I think I needed to hear that too, because it is a business. Yeah, we might be following our dreams, but it's still a business. And, if we give ourselves business hours, whether it's bookkeeping behind the scenes or keeping the website up to date or whatever it might be, it's a little easier to make it feel like a business. And,
Yes.
it's otherwise it is a hobby, it is something that if we're not taking it serious, no one else is going to take it serious.
That's true.
I like that perspective a lot. And I think we can still have fun with it, but still be serious when needed,
Yes. Yes. Yeah. That's the idea, that you have fun because you love what you do. So
That's
definitely when you
right.
love what you do, you will feel, the fun aspect of it. But then you still need like a strict, time frame set aside during the day for that work that you really love to do. So then
Right.
time will not matter. The
Yeah.
place will not matter for you. And you would be maybe on a holiday and still wouldn't mind even if you had to give a couple of hours for your business.
Yeah. Yeah. I was on vacation last week, and like I said, I have that astrology app, and something happened on the back end where I needed to fix it. So first thing in the morning, I'm sitting there in bed on vacation with my laptop right there, just doing what I needed to do. And my husband's like, "What are you doing? Can we just
Mm.
go on with our day? Like, let's just go." And I said, "No, because if, I can't let this go, it's going to affect other people right now. I have
Yeah.
other users that are expecting this to work." That's just part of the sacrifice. And that's part of owning a business. That's part of
Yes.
what, the work that needs to be done. And I think so many people see the dream of owning a business as you make your own hours and you have a lot of freedom, and you do, but you still have to clock in and work when it matters.
Yes. 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 Totally.
The 10 of Swords, I think, is one of those cards that, like, the swords, of course, are always about the mental process behind things, the thought process, sometimes it's overthinking, sometimes it's a new way of looking at things. But the 10 of Swords is maybe coming to a full understanding of something and having a new outlook, a new way of looking at it. And I think when you were talking about like taking that break and kind of reassessing everything and starting fresh, and sometimes, it feels like a setback, but that starting fresh is really just kind of like a wipe the slate clean and here you go. This is the new way to do it. I think that's what that card's alluding to, because so many times it's just we feel like there's some sense of loss when we have a break. All this work I've been doing and now it's down the drain or whatever. And now, you can look at it for what it really was, and it was the chance to start in a new direction and a new different path. Um, and I like that approach better. That makes more sense. That's I don't think I don't think any experience that we have is truly like a loss. I think it's really just an opportunity to learn and grow from whatever that experience is and move forward. I like what you said earlier, like I can either succeed or I can learn from it. There's no failure
Yeah.
there. It's just it's you learn or you do well.
Yeah. There's no two other ways, and there's no other way around it.
Yeah, but I can imagine that having your son watch you not only make the decision to prioritize him, but then also the first several years of struggling, even though he may not have understood what was going on, but watching you overcome the obstacles that you've had in this business, and now being able to sustain and grow it in a way that's supporting you. I would imagine that's given him a lot of insight that maybe you never really set out to do, but it's actually benefited him in the long run. Do you see any of the traits that you've had to fine tune during this journey that show up a little bit more for him more naturally?
I think he's a very family person. That's one thing which I've seen while he's been growing,
Yeah,
and he is very very sensitive like me, but
yeah,
he is not someone. But he also knows how to hold boundaries. He is someone who is in his own dreamy world, right?
yeah,
So he's extremely dreamy, like I was when I was a kid. So that's
yeah,
there. But then when he sees me working, he's still very curious to, understand, like, how am I able to kind of take out so many hours from my work? And
right,
then there are days where I don't sleep at night, till late, because he sees there is a project, there is a client project, and I'm working on it, and I need to work on it because that is my, like, me time. So I'm not a morning person. I'm really like a night owl. So he knows that if she's working till late, that's purely because, one, she loves to work, and
yeah,
second, there is a deadline, and she feels the most calm at night, when she has to work. So he's seen my kind of not so uh systematic schedules. And
yeah,
they are not very, I would say, timed. They're very flexible, but he
yeah,
sees when she's in work, she's in deep work. So for me, he knows that certain things are non-negotiable. Then I'm ready to skip entertainment, I'm ready to skip other things because this is priority. So that's one thing which he's able to learn, like, how do you choose your priorities? And
yeah,
I think it kind of helps him as he's growing, because he has so many distractions around him, considering he's a teenage now. And that age, there are so many distractions and so many things, at the tap of the screen that is
yeah,
available for him. And I feel that this is one way I'm trying to be a role model more than, controlling him. That when what is your priority, when you're clear about it, then
yeah,
all the distractions will automatically, switch out and switch off, because then you know that this is what I need to focus on. So it's a work in progress,
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah.
Well, and I love that it shows him it's a possibility for him. He doesn't have to go to a regimented 9 to 5 job. He can make his own way in whatever he chooses to do. Does he know what he wants to do yet?
Well, he did say he wants to be a pilot. So let's
Oh,
see. Yeah.
yeah, that's fun. I love that age because the world is still everything's possible. You know, the world
Isn't
is
it?
still,
Yeah.
and I don't think that changes for us as we get older. It's just harder to see that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just harder to picture it. And we have more responsibilities as we get older.
Yes.
So it's not
Yeah.
like we can just drop everything and go do stuff.
Yeah.
But I love that he's very family oriented too, because it sounds like by you making him a priority, it showed him that it matters, you know, and
Yes.
I don't, I think as I've gotten older, I've come to realize, you know, there's only so much that really matters in life, and our
Mm,
family members and the relationships that we build with people. That's what people are going to remember. They're not going to remember, you know, the hours you worked and the car you drive. Like no one cares about that after a while.
how
No one
true.
cares about that. Let's see. Oh, this one is all about pentacles. So like the resources that you've built for yourself and the you know the way you provide for yourself. I love that. So the page of pentacles, the king of pentacles, and then the 5 of pentacles. 5 is all about change, but I don't think that it's necessarily bad change. I think it's
Mhm.
always kind of like the opportunity to look at things differently. You were talking earlier about how scary it was leaving a job to become self-employed. And I'm, you know, for me, I think that's one place where I get really stuck right now because it is scary to walk away from, you know, paycheck that you know is coming in to all of a sudden I have to provide like my work is how I get paid. You know, that's just so different. How is your, and you don't have to go like too into detail, but how was your, I don't know, did you prepare financially to make that shift? Did you, because I'm sure someone out there listening is trying to figure out how they can make the same type of transition from full-time employee to self-employed, but like what did that look like for you? How did, I'm sure that was scary.
Yeah, great question here, Jen. And I think for all the people who are listening, this is really important. So maybe they can make notes. If anybody out there who is planning to, do the transition from corporate and, start on their own, uh, one of the things that really worked well for me was, kind of mentally preparing myself for almost 3 to 6 months. And my ex boss was, he played a really strong role in that because my entire career graph was also something which, he sort of, in a way, planned for me because he saw what are my talents, what skill sets I have, and how I am open to learning new things. So I feel that a lot of my career graph is grew because he saw the potential and he saw me as an asset to the organization. And so by the time he moved out, I was still very well connected with him. We were still kind of, like, so how he made that transition and then, he sort of put it in my head that even you can do it kind of a thing. And he did know about my personal life, that I'm a single mom and how I wanted to be with my son, and I wanted to have and enjoy the happy moments being a mom. So that's one thing, which helped me. But that 3 to 6 months also helped me to save financially because I knew that for maybe another year and a half, it will take time to, sort of stabilize and see some kind of income coming through. And I was starting from zero, right? So there wasn't like a cushion there which I could say, yeah, okay, I have this minimum every month, and now on top of this is what I'm going to be trying to create. So those savings was something which kind of made me feel a little uh, I wouldn't say relaxed, but it bought the time that I needed while I was kind of settling in, looking for work, and then finding more assignments, even though as a training consultancy. So, and in that also, like I said, I didn't start at what I left.
Right.
right? So the income, drop was huge. That was huge. So I did have support at home, in terms of, I didn't have to like literally pay every single bill because I knew that, I have my brother and, he's also there and, we kind of could combine our income and, kind of contribute around it. And I think those are the perks of living in a traditional family. I feel that, you don't see who's literally contributing individually, but then it all comes into a pool.
Right.
So that way is that it wasn't stressful.
Yeah.
But yeah, if somebody is planning this and they wouldn't have any kind of financial backup, my suggestion, save for at least 6 months, take out some amount from your salary, from your paycheck every month, put it aside so that you get like, a buffer for at least a year to maybe like a year and a half. And by that time, you can at least start bringing in something and then you can, start building off from somewhere.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so earlier you mentioned that you're a very intuitive person. And then right now you said you were mentally preparing, for several months. How did let's see, like mentally or spiritually get your mind right in order to really envision this for yourself and find the courage to move forward? I feel like a lot of people let their own thoughts get the best of them sometimes, but there's a certain I think there's a certain skill or a certain belief, I don't even know which one it is, who that lets you, like, keep moving forward even though you feel defeated at times.
I think I think that's my own personal never give up attitude, which
Yeah.
I've had all my life. I've been raised by, supportive parents in terms of never give up,
Right.
and they would always help me in terms of staying confident and going out there and not just waiting for things to come for you.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of in that sense, I personally am a go-getter. I'm not somebody who will, oh, okay, wait and when somebody's gonna, come and invite me for things, I'm gonna see and test or I'm not somebody who will say, oh my God, should I even try? No, this is,
Right.
so I don't know, this isn't me. If I'm determined, I will
Yeah.
go and do it. That's it.
Yeah.
So that way is that's the risk taking abilities, which we mentioned earlier. So if
Oh,
I've decided, if I'm determined, I will go ahead and do it. So it's like a personal trait more than something which, everybody might have.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's exactly at least how it worked for me,
I
honestly.
love that. And I tend to do the same thing. And people I've been looking a lot into not only my astrology of, like, how do I move forward in the world, but human design too.
Ah, there
And,
you go.
um,
Yeah.
human design for me is one of those. It's still very foreign, but I'm learning more about it. And I've learned my own personal method of doing things is try all the wrong ways first, and then I find what works. It's funny. I have Capricorn rising, and I was like, man, it's like that tenacity that comes with it is just
Yes.
so annoying sometimes because giving up is not an option. Like it
Yes.
really is the only way is success. The only way is to
Yes.
move forward and find it. It might take forever. I
Mm,
mean, especially Saturn ruled, it's going to take a long time, but it's because I have to find out what works for me through all of
mm,
those mistakes. It's been something that's been really eye-opening, learning more. Like astrology, I've been interested in for years, and I have met with clients and I help them with that too. But like the human design part of it, it's frustrating because I can see everything laid out in front of
yes.
me, what works, what doesn't work, and it just reflects back my truth to me. Do you use
Yeah.
some of that in your work, or have you used some
Yes.
yourself?
No, so actually, when I went through that 1 year gap because of the financial setback, and when I came back, I realized, that there is something also wrong, in me, apart from whatever I had to go through in terms of the scam, etc.
Yeah.
And that's when I started learning more about me. And that's when human design came into my life. And that's how I became even aware that my intuitive powers are really strong,
Yeah.
So that's a gift which I have. And, I started understanding what are my gifts and what are my shadows. So in
Hmm.
human design, there is a shadow where emotionally, if I get triggered very easily, so
Yeah.
I need to be aware that I don't start my day with such that kind of a place or environment or a person who will trigger me, or even watch something online which will trigger me for that matter.
Yes.
So I kind of became so much more aware using human design. So that's how I realized that I need to have fun. I need
Right.
to be in that energy to be able
Yeah.
to work. Otherwise, I can't. So human design truly helped me, to take that awareness to the next level about
Yeah.
who I really am, and, which out of those gifts I can use to the max.
Yeah.
And, and maybe I was doing all of those things earlier, but then the awareness came after I went through the entire human design, study. And
Yeah.
I understood that. So I'm a generator, I'm 5'1". And I know manifesting generators or somebody with a 3, they're the ones who have to experiment, fail, 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 explore, explore, and then finally they get it. So,
It's really frustrating. And part of it, I from what I understand is in order to help other people, I have to go through the trenches so that I
yes,
can teach them as well.
yes.
And, I'm tired. I'm really tired and I just
Oh.
want things to work out. And, that's just not how it's meant to be for me. And
Mm,
I think so much about what can I pull from my own experiences over the years and how can I help other people and what do they
mm,
need to hear, and I don't quite know what that looks like yet, but at the same time, I'm still staying open to it. The other thing I noticed in my human design mostly is like I need to be responsive to other people. And so these type of conversations where I'm talking to someone else are the best for me. They're the easiest for me.
yes, yes.
And I've been trying to do little mini episodes in between my big episodes of just myself. And those ones definitely do not get the most, listens. Those ones are just fillers. And I'm trying to figure out, do I keep doing those? Do I move into another format for them? And I think even just responding to listener questions will be that back and forth
Mm,
need. So, that opened up something like human design. I don't think I don't know a lot about it. Like I know what it means for me,
okay.
and that's about it, but I can't sit down and read someone else's chart yet. I feel like astrology is a good blueprint for how we showed up in
Hmm.
the world, and human design is what tells us, okay, now this is what you do with it. And
Yeah.
they kind of work together. I've always been fascinated by, I don't know, I guess looking for like what makes people tick, what makes people do the things they do. And those two have really rung out for me as being accurate
Mm,
and applicable. So
yeah.
I love that you use that for yourself.
Yeah.
I can see how it works for me and allows me to move forward too. Do you do you help friends learn about their human design, or do you just
So
kind of use it for yourself?
I did it for myself. And when I was going through that, again, I hired a coach who's an expert in human
Mm,
design. I went through her program for almost, I think, about 6 to 9 months, if I'm not wrong.
yeah.
And while I was going through it, I did have my friend's human design chart
Yeah.
next to me, just so that, oh, okay, this is how I am. Oh, now I know why she behaves like this. Oh,
Right.
now I know this is what is there in this person and that one. And I did my son's human design. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, now I know how I need to handle him, how I
Yeah.
need to deal with him, because this is how he really is. And that's exactly actually how it started, like I
Yeah.
found somebody doing human design for themselves and their daughter. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, wait a minute, can I do something like that? And that's how I entered into human design. And I
Yeah.
found more about it. And then I'm like, okay, this makes life so much more easy because when you get that awareness, you start accepting, you start acknowledging, and then you know what do you
Yeah.
need to work on,
Yes.
because if you're not aware, how the hell you keep struggling the whole year that why am I getting triggered? Why am I not able to focus on my business? But now you know that that's a part of your shadow. That's a part of
Yeah.
your design. You know, that you are by design someone who will get triggered. So now what do you do? So now you know about it, right?
Yep.
Oh, that's why this is what happened, you know?
Yep. Well, and
And it
it's
kind
been,
of worked.
yeah, it's been really interesting for me because it says I tend to take on everyone else's emotions.
Yes.
And so if someone asks me a question and they're really excited about something, I'm going to feel that excitement and feel like
Yes.
that's supposed to be a yes. But I'm
Yes.
supposed to wait, let
Yes.
those emotions ride out and see how I really feel when I'm away from their emotions. And I thought, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. No wonder I feel like I can get swept up in all kinds of
Yes.
stuff. And then
Yes.
later it sounds like it's horrible. Like I don't want
Yes.
to get
It feels
involved.
heavy. Yeah. It feels
Yeah.
heavy. You feel exhausted. You feel drained out because
Yeah.
you've literally, taken everybody else's
Yep.
emotions, energy, and, you did not put that boundary. So
Right. One of
that's
my,
where it
well,
is.
see, now I've gotten better at it over the last several years, anyways. But one thing that I say to myself, especially if I'm falling asleep and I don't like, I feel too busy, I say, I
Hmm.
release all energy that belongs to
Yes.
others. I release all energy that belongs to others. Like I just repeat it in my head and I can feel it just start to like lessen over time.
That's nice.
And it is like but if I hadn't found that for me, if I hadn't figured out what worked for me, it's so easy to just take on everyone's stuff.
Hmm.
It's like for me, especially whether it's at work or family, friends, oh my gosh, they're mad at me. No, they're mad at something else.
Yes.
And I feel that, so it's been eye-opening and I'm not perfect at it. I'm not
Hmm.
great at really understanding what's mine and what's other people's. Aside from like asking for energy, to give back energy, I also,
Yeah.
if I feel very overwhelmed, I'll say, is this mine? Is this my
Hmm.
emotion right now? And I can usually tell almost immediately if I'm picking up on someone else's or if it really is mine. It's been interesting, and I think I still have a lot to learn as far as human
Hmm.
design goes. I have not considered I don't know, like, I know I looked up my family members' charts. I need to go through and, like, really investigate more. I think that's the right way to say it, investigate, research,
Yeah.
because it does offer a lot of benefit. I love that.
Yes.
How are your parents now? You said that at first they were not super supportive. Do they see now that you made it work?
Yes and no both. They're parents, they're worried, they're concerned,
Yeah,
they're not at fault for thinking the way they think. So I had to accept this, that they're parents. This is how they will think, this is how they will feel. And it does not mean that I should not go ahead with my
right.
dreams. I have to respect what they're feeling,
Yeah,
but I have to also continue to dream what I dream for my life, for my business, for the way I want to build, further in my career
yeah,
or at work. So I know that it's still not something which they are like 100% in agreement with.
yeah,
And I feel, we've had kind of those conversations around it as to why and why not. And I think they've made peace with it.
yeah.
And my job was to let them know that this is important, and I've done that.
I
So I
love
feel
that.
at the end of the day, we live together in the same ecosystem. We both are like, we are equally concerned for each other. And so that's where the respect and the acceptance is.
Yeah,
And I still know I have them as a support, and they know that that she is, so like I said, if she's determined, she's not going to
yeah.
give up. So
They've probably seen that your whole life.
yes, so yeah, that's that.
They know. Oh, I like the way that you put that. Your job was to let them know how important this was to you. Your job's not to convince them. It's
Yes.
just to show them how much it means to you. That's a really good way of putting it. My kids are all grown now, so they're all in their 20s. And of course, it's hard once they grow up and out of the house and they're making their own decisions. And I just want everything to go well for them. I just want
Mm.
them to be safe and happy and healthy and have the money they need to survive. And, I may not understand all of their choices, but
Yes.
I can support them in their choices.
Yes.
I learned really quick that I could not tell them what to do anymore, you know? And so I get that from the parent perspective of support, but not understanding all the time. And I think it's important to have that outlook.
I think life is a full circle now. I'm a parent, so I'm going through the same, like
Yeah,
I can't tell him to do everything I wanted my way. So,
right. And
of
even as,
course,
I think back, well, now like I have grandchildren and I look at the grandkids and I think you still can't tell them what to do.
yes,
You can guide them
guide them.
and you can show them, but it's not necessarily,
Mm,
you can't dictate. That doesn't work
absolutely.
for anyone.
Yeah,
I'm learning that. Well, I love this. I think we had a really good conversation.
me too.
I've learned a lot from you and your own
Oh my
journey,
gosh.
and I think that's super important. Maybe it was a conversation I needed to hear, and it got me a little bit more out of my funk, maybe motivated me a little to keep going further. And so I love that. Let me pull. I have two more cards I like to pull.
Okay.
I just forgot to grab them. The first one is the Goddess Guidance deck. And I like to see what goddess is showing up today for us. Do a shuffle. Oh, interesting. Um, we're talking about sensitivity. White Tara? Is that, do you know that's the right way to say it? Let
Did
me,
you just get that? Are
yeah.
you serious?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the
You're
one.
not joking. I have it tattooed on my
Oh,
sleeve.
no way.
What are you saying?
That's crazy.
Put the card
Um,
there. Look, look, let's just prove it to the world. But the card is the
you can
same
see
thing.
her.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
That's crazy.
That is
So
super crazy.
tell me a little bit more about her because you probably know more than this little book can tell me.
Oh my God. Okay, I
How does
still can't believe it.
what is the significance for you? Like what obviously you have a connection because you got the tattoo.
I still can't believe it, Jen. Okay, so for me, White Tara happened. Okay, so there's a lot of story around it. I don't know if we have time for this, but
No, go
then
for it. Go for it.
so I was fond of tattoos and I kind of was always like thinking, I'm going to get something done, get something done. And I started with a very ugly looking tattoo. And then when I had to get a cover up done is where I started with just like a little
Yeah.
butterfly. And then after that, I was like obsessed and not even obsessed, but fascinated. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to get another one. And that's exactly how tattoos happen, right? You start
Right.
with one and then you go on and it never finishes. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I could make that. I could see a little, so then I got a second one, which was just still here. And then after this, I went again to the same artist and I said, I want to get a portrait of my son. And he said, we'll have to do it here because the placement, etc., it's not working on this arm. And I said, no, I want it here. And he's like, no, we'll have to do it here or we can't do it. I said, no, but I want here. And he said, let's do something else here. And that's how we started discussing. And we tried to sort of go through things that what is it that we can do or cannot do. And that's when he introduced me to Tara.
Uh-huh.
And there are different kinds of Tara. There is white Tara, green Tara, red Tara. There are different colors and they all symbolize or they have a different significance. And I went with white Tara because white Tara is the mother of all Buddhas. So of all Taras and it's all about compassion and healing
Yeah.
and and so on and so forth. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is what I want to get done. And that's exactly how it happened.
That's
And I did
crazy.
not even realize. And this happened. So this took multiple sessions, of course. So I had to
Yeah.
go every single month for a sitting. And by the time we finished this, I was even more convinced and obsessed. And we kind of moved ahead. And now I have my entire back tattooed. So
Wow.
we're planning to do the entire bodysuit. It's a
Yeah.
Japanese traditional
Yeah.
thing that is a work in progress. So my entire back till my thighs is covered. It's
Wow.
fully covered. And we plan to start maybe, I don't know when, but yeah, we will complete it and make like an entire bodysuit. And so this helped me heal the, if I could say, the body shaming, which I went through all my life as a
Yeah.
kid. This helped me understand, not understand, accept myself the way I am and accept my body and
Yeah.
stop judging myself and being
Yeah.
harsh and give grace. So that's the journey really around this.
Yeah.
And that's how I was able to kind of relate with it. And so yeah, in a nutshell, that's how it happened.
That's
Oh my
awesome.
God.
And what are the chances? I love that. So just a quick, what this card is saying, it says you are becoming increasingly sensitive, avoid harsh relationships, environment, situation, chemicals. And we had talked about that too, of just, making sure you know what you're consuming. And it says, as you've purified your inner world of thoughts, actions, and intentions, it's natural that you seek purity in your outer world as well. This is to acknowledge your heightened sensitivity, which is as real as it seems. You've stripped away the outer protective layers of unneeded defenses, which blocked your psychic and spiritual awareness. Now you're on the path of ascension, which calls for your heightened awareness. And with this awareness comes new levels of sensitivity to the impure and harsh. Your body is a trustworthy instrument of measurement of your tolerance level. Steer clear of that which your body signals you to avoid. Take excellent care of your body, and it shall serve you well. I love that.
Oh my God.
That's
Thank
beautiful. And what
you.
are the chances? Like, it's just so random.
I was
I
like,
think
did
that
she just look at my tattoo and pull up that card? And she's like, oh, I'm going to give her it.
no.
I'm like,
And
no,
what's weird is I
crazy.
can't see it from here, like,
Yeah.
until you actually show it. So I would have
Oh
never
my
guessed that.
God. This
That's
is crazy.
crazy. Okay, let's see. And then this one is the Wild Offering deck. I think this one is relevant as well. It says perfectionism. Permission to make mistakes is so freeing. It is the root of creativity and change. Allow me, divine, to make as many mistakes as I need. Free me from the prison of perfectionism. So I
Um,
think I like that one for us too. It's
yes.
beautiful. Oh, one thing I do like to ask our guests is if you could go back and talk to yourself when you were 20 years old, what advice would you give her?
Oh, wow. Advice. Okay. I would just say everything's going to be okay.
Mm, yeah.
Trust yourself and just keep moving ahead.
Trust yourself. I like that because so often we doubt ourselves,
And
and
that is that age, really, that
yeah,
age, we are all over the place. We don't look on the inside because
yeah,
we are so consumed from society, from judgments, from the external environment.
yeah. That's so it's like we measure ourselves according to everyone else's standards
Yes.
except for our own. And when we finally get to a place where we can trust what we know, we're older and experienced at that point.
We're in mid 40s.
I know. It's so true. I think finally, and I still struggle with that sometimes, comparing
Mm,
myself to other people and what do they think of me. But if I just trust what I know for myself, life gets a little bit more simple.
yes. Yes.
So, well, I love it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so glad we got to do this.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I think the last one was I was just blown away by that
I
card,
know.
really.
Me too. Me too. That's so weird. I think that's a message if we ever saw one, you know? That's good. Thank you for joining us today. If any of this has resonated, you should probably share this episode with another woman who needs to hear all about it. Feel free to subscribe to make sure you don't miss any episodes and comment below if anything struck a chord with you. Until next time, thanks for joining us.